Thanks for joining this webinar on Codeless tailoring of Sage 300 with Extender. My name is Natalie from Orchid Systems, and today we will focus on adding functionality and enhancing user experience in Sage 300 without writing scripts. This presentation doesn't include the workflow functionality, which we will cover in a future webinar. We have demonstrated some of these use cases for Extender before. In today's webinar, we will start with an overview of Extender and its benefits. We will demonstrate how to get started with Extender Configurator for logging and alerts, and email alerts. We will then go through how to install and configure a range of Extender apps available on the marketplace for more advanced logging, to auto-number AP vendors and multiple contacts in Sage 300, for inline editing of optional fields, adding optional fields to bank entry. In the final part of the webinar, we will demonstrate how to use Extender with other Orchid modules, such as Notes, Document Management Link, and EFT Processing. Why would you need Extender? Sage 300 has a wide range of functionality, and many customers have already tailored Sage 300 over the years to make it work their way, using a variety of tools. As business evolves, there are often new business requirements that can't be met out of the box, but many solutions sit outside Sage 300 and can add complexity to the environment, in particular when changing servers or upgrading, or they may even stop and upgrade. Extender has been available for about 10 years, and partners and customers use it in many different ways. The feedback we receive is that it gives them an edge over competitors, as Extender provides a cost-effective way to tailor Sage 300 and ensure the configuration are saved in Sage 300 database, making upgrades easier. You have probably seen this diagram before, and it may look a bit daunting, but in green we represent the Sage 300 views and screens. In orange we represent what Extender can do to tailor the business logic views, to add custom processes, screens and apps, and to tailor the Sage desktop screens. With the configurator, we can set up logging and email alerts and other types of alerts triggered when Sage 300 data changes. So no more exporting and importing, it happens as the records are changed. We also have the workflow functionality, which we will cover in a separate presentation. You can customize using Python script, and many of you have built advanced customizations to automate processes in Sage 300 and validate records using Extender scripts. In this presentation, we will demonstrate Extender modules that are ready to be installed and configured to add functionality and improve the user experience. They do include Python scripts and configuration tables. We're not just looking at Extender Configurator, but you can use them without writing Python code or even looking at the script. You import the Extender module, configure it, and you can immediately start using it and see the results. In the first part of the webinar, we will go through key steps to set up Extender Configurator. We start with a database, which is SAM Limited, where the latest product update of Extender is activated. And we're going to use the tutorials in the online help with the detailed steps to create log for AR customer credit limit and other fields, log the OE invoice creation, and we're also going to be sending email alerts when field changes in AR customer and EFT vendor, demonstrating that you can configure Extender to work with Sage 300 core modules as well as SDK modules. The tutorials are available in the online help, which you can access from the application and also from the Orchid website. Resources, online help, and we can go to Extender help, which has some online training as well as some configurator tutorials. So we're going to start with the first one, which is logging changes to the AR customer credit limit and logging the creation of an OE invoice. You have the detailed steps in here. And we're now going to do that in Sage 300. This is sample data where we have activated EFT Processing, Extender, and Information Manager, which we will look at later. So if we go to Extender Setup, the first thing we're going to be doing is create an event of type logging. So I'm going to create a log event. I'm going to say I don't want to combine it because I want to track the original value and the new value. And the action is log changes. If I add this event, I can now link this particular event to any record change in Sage 300. So to follow the steps in my tutorial, I'm going to attach it to the AR customer credit limit. I can click this button here, all views, F6, which will give me all the records available in Sage 300. It may take a bit of time the first time, but now I can select the view that I want, something that contains customer. Actually, I want where the description contains customer. And I want my AR customers. And I want to log changes of certain fields that I'm particularly interested in. It's often easier to search with description contains. I'm going to go credit limit, and I'm going to select my log event. I'm going to add another row using the insert key, and I want to do where the state changes. And I want to do another one, which is when the on hold field changes. Add this. Restart the Sage desktop to make sure that the view is recorded by Extender. I can now go into AR customers, select the customer, change the state, change the credit limit, 21,000. Save this. Find Acme Plumbing, and maybe I'm going to put Acme Plumbing on hold. Save this. Now I can go to Extender Inquiries Log, and I can see the changes that I've done today. So the on hold field has gone from 0 to 1, not on hold, on hold. The state has changed from CA to California, and the credit limit of customer 1200 has gone to 21,000. The detailed steps are available in here. Next, we're going to look at the detailed steps to log the creation of an OE invoice. So what we're going to do is use the same log event, but attach it to the invoice number field. Let's go into Sage 300, View Events, Scripts and Workflow. I'm going to look for my OE invoice view. That's OE INVH. And I want to record it when the invoice number changes. Probably look for number, inv number. If you know it, you can just type it in. And I'm going to use the same log event. Add. Again, I'm going to have to restart the Sage desktop, and then I'm going to post an invoice. Got an order, I'm going to ship it. Click Create Invoice and post this order. I don't need to print it. I've got an invoice number. Again, if I go to Extender Inquiries and Log, this bigger, I can see that this invoice was created today on the 10th of February by user admin. Why would you do that? Because the audit date can be overwritten in various other processes. So you have the actual document date that's been entered in Sage, but you may not know exactly when it was done. So you could see we did this one on the order entry screen, but if you create your invoice from the invoice screen, or if you have an API other module that creates the invoice, the log will still happen. And again, the detailed steps of what we've looked at today are available in the online help. The next type of configuration we can do is to send an email when a field changes in Sage 300. We have a detailed tutorial here to set up an email when an AR customer credit limit changes. The key steps would be to configure the email tab in Extender Options, to add a message template, and we give some examples in here. Then create an event type of type email and attach the email to the Sage 300 AR credit customer field. Restart the Sage desktop, change the credit limit, and receive the email. We won't be going through each of these steps one by one, because what we've done for this type of alert is prepare a module that is available to download for Sage 300 business partners in the Extender scripts area. So when you're logged on to the Orchid website, we have added this new section called Configurable Modules. And here we have a module that includes email alerts in AR, AP, and EFT. So I'm going to download this module, which is a zip file made up of 2 files. I unzip the file and I have 2 documents in there. A VI file, which is an Extender module, and a PDF file with instructions on what to do and description of what the module actually does. So it is to send email alerts when selected fields change in customer, AP vendor, and EFT vendor. What we need to do is import the module, restart the Sage desktop, change the email address to an address that we monitor, and then we can test it by changing customer credit limit, EFT bank number, and AP vendor address. So let's do that in Sage 300. If I open the Extender module screen, I always have this workflow module, which is part of the workflow functionality of Extender. We're not looking at it today. Now I can go here in the bottom left of the screen, go import, find where I've saved my file in the email alerts Extender configurator, and import the VI file. We like to work from the module screen. In the latest product updates, it's really a good way to see what is included in a module. So here we have no scripts, but we have 3 event types to send emails. One for AP vendor address, AR customer credit limit, and one for EFT detail change. So let's look at the one for AP vendor address. It's set to combine and to send email, which means it will send one email for all the field changes that that are configured in the view. So here under email to is where you want to set it to an email address that you can monitor. And under our message ID, I can open it to see the message template that is being used. You can change the text, add some fields. This is all linked to AP vendor, so it's all fields from the AP vendor that you can find out from Extender Enquiries View Info. And again, this is clearly documented in the help. Now, if I look at messages, these are my 3 email messages for the different events that I've configured. And under View Events, I can see at a glance the fields that are being monitored and that are going to trigger sending the email. So on the AP vendor, got the vendor name, code postal, city, and all the address fields. On AR customer, I've got the credit limit, and on EFT, I've got the account number, bank name, the email status, and the BSB number. To test that, I'm going to go and change details in AP vendor, detail in AR customer, detail in EFT, and then we'll look at our emails. So let's start with our AR customer. Let's change the credit limit. We're getting a notification on the screen that email has been sent. We like to do this in demo situations, just as a talking point in case you can't access email, but in a live situation you may turn this off. And again, this is configurable in the event. So if we look at our event type here for AR customer, I can change this to say, no, don't notify the email. And next time I won't see this message on the screen. I'm now going to change my vendor address. If I now go to my EFT vendor 1200, I'm changing the email address because I made a mistake, and the bank has changed. And I'm going to set the status to active. Okay, and an email has been sent. So let's check all these emails in Outlook. Here I know that the credit limit has changed from 10,000 to 11,000. The vendor address has changed from Warehouse. The new address is Warehouse Street in Chicago. Previous address was Warehouse Road in Kansas City. And EFT vendor has changed from ANZ to ABC, etc. So one email including all the details that have changed. We've looked at some example to get started with Extender Configurator to do logging. We've also looked at sending email alerts using a module that has been that is available to download on the Orchid website. And one of the reasons we wanted to show this option is to show that module is not just for big customizations with a lot of scripts. It's very useful when you want to test something in a test database, export a module and import it into another database. So you've got everything all encompassed. It can all happen through one step. Your events, which fields are being monitored, what are the email templates, and it's easy to move between one company and another, between your test server and a client site. In the next part of the presentation, we're going to look at using apps available on the Orchid Marketplace, on the Extender Marketplace. So they require Extender Developer to be used, but they are all configurable. You don't need to write a script. So Extender Developer doesn't necessarily means that you need to write a script. The examples we're going to look at is advanced logging. Why would you use this? To see who created and who posted the batch. We're tracking change status on GL, AP invoice, AP payment, AR invoice, AR refund, and AR receipt batches. The next one we're going to look at is auto numbering of AP vendors and auto numbering of multiple contacts in Sage 300. Why would you use it? Because of the ease of data entry and to ensure a consistent numbering system. The next apps we're going to look at are available on the Orchid website, on the Extender scripts, configurable modules. We're going to look at logging of GL, AP, and AR batches, auto numbering of AP vendors, auto numbering of Sage 300 multiple contacts. Same principle, you download them, you'll have an Extender module, a VI file, and a PDF. So I won't demonstrate that in this presentation. We'll assume I have already downloaded them and we can then import them in Sage 300. First one is logging details of when GL, AP and AR batches are posted. As we mentioned, we're monitoring those 6 views: GL journal batches, AP invoice, AP payments, AR invoice, AR receipt and adjustments, and AR refunds. So let's import this module in a Sage 300. Go to Extender Setup Modules. I'm going to import the module that I've downloaded under log posting of batches. You can see now I have one script in here, and if I look at view scripts, I can see that I have attached the script to AP invoice, AP payment, AR invoice, AR receipt, AR refund, and GL batches. I'm going to restart the Sage desktop and post some of these batches to look at the logs. Let's start with an AR invoice batch. I'm going to print this batch. I'm going to post my GL batches. Posting is completed. Now if I go back to External Inquiries log, I can see here that GL batches that have been posted and some AR invoice batches. And if I went to create and post an AP invoice and AP payment batch, I would also get records in there. Let's now look at the next module we want to look at, which is AP vendor auto numbering. It includes both a view script and a screen script to make sure that the number defaults to *** new in line with other Sage 300 screens. And you have a custom table which stores the configuration parameter. Steps to install this module is to make sure you have the latest product update of Extender for your version, import the module, restart the Sage desktop, and you can then configure the custom table. So let's look at that in Sage 300. Let's go to the module screen and let's import our auto numbering for vendor, which has those 2 scripts. It's got a script attached to the AP vendor view, and it's got a custom table. Where I can create my configuration. So I'm create a new record. I want the prefix to be ORC. The next vendor number is going to be 10, and the full length is going to be 9. If I add this, now let me go and add an AP vendor. Vendor number defaults to new. I'm going to add Orchid as a vendor. My previous configuration is still there, so I'm receiving an email and I've got my number starting with ORC, and if I create a new vendor, it's going to be ORC 00011. And the next number is updated in the configuration table. So pretty straightforward: import module, configure it, and you can start using it immediately. So the next module in this series is to auto number multiple contacts. I have downloaded it previously. Come in here, restart the Sage desktop. This one has 3 scripts. In addition to auto numbering multiple contacts, it's also adding the first name and last name of the contact to the AR customer grid. So first we're going to configure under our custom tables. I can immediately right click on here and say open custom table editor. Add my configuration record. So it's a similar thing. I'm going to use another prefix, MC. Next number is 1 and the full length of the code is going to be 8. I'm going to add this, And now if I go to AR customer, this obviously assumes that multiple contacts has been activated in that database. And if I select a customer, go to the contact tab, I don't have any contact, I can create a new one. Contact number defaults to *** new. When I add the contact, it's immediately numbered MC401. I can close this, and as you can see, I've got my first name and last name at the end. I could move that around. So when we add fields like this through Extender to the grid, they behave like any other Sage 300 fields on the grid. I can move them to where I want them to be. I want to see my contact code, name, last name, and then the email address. Save this, and that's it. Again, this module is available. Import it, configure it, and it runs. So we've looked at 3 Extender modules available on the Orchid website: advanced logging, auto-numbering of AP vendors, and auto-numbering of multiple contacts. We're now going to look at 2 apps that are available on the Extender marketplace, and they're available for purchase through Orchid. You can contact us or Robert Lavery for pricing details. The first one is a pretty popular one for inline editing of optional fields. As you know, optional fields are very useful in Sage 300, but sometimes the data entry requires a few clicks. With this app, you can add the optional fields to the grid, and they look like any other field in that grid. So that's a very good support for using Sage 300 with multidimensional accounting. So you can add reporting dimension without actually changing your child of accounts. With this app, you can configure what optional fields and on what screens you want to use them. We support a range of screens: AP invoices, AR invoices, GL journal, IC receipts, IC adjustments, IC transfers, various OE screens, and various PO screens. So let's look at this in Sage 300. So when you purchase this app, we send you the Extender module and the documentation for it. As mentioned before, it applies to a range of screens and instructions for how to configure it for each of these screens. So in Sage 300, we're going to import the Extender module. Restart the Sage desktop and configure it. So this app includes scripts on all these screens, as well as a configuration table. I'm going to open the configuration table, and we're going to do it for GL using 2 optional fields. So GL is 2100, GL journal entry screen. We've got the sales rep optional fields we want to use. We want to be able to edit it in the grid. And for GL 2100, I'm going to add another one. I'm going to add another one for AP invoices, AP 2100. Use the dangerous optional fields. And I'm going to add a final one for AR invoices. I'm entering an AR invoice. As you can see, I've got a salesperson column added to the grid. Because this one is configured with values, I've actually got access to a finder, and I can select my my salesperson in there, and it's basically the same as clicking on that and adding it here. It just makes the data entry easier. Now looking at the GL batch, I have approved and sales reps field in there. And similarly, I can then select the right values. This one doesn't have a finder because it's not configured as a finder, so I can just type yes and save. So this assumes that these optional fields are set up as transactional optional fields on the GL account. And the same with every other screens where you can configure those inline editing of optional fields. Next app we're going to look at is adding optional fields to bank entry. Bank entry out of the box does not support optional fields, but if you're using Sage 300 with multi-dimensional accounting, for example, you may need to add optional fields to bank entry. So this app works the same as the ones we've looked at. You import the Extender module, configure it, and then you can start adding optional fields to your bank entry transactions. Let's look at this in Sage 300. I'm going to import the app, which is detail optional fields on bank entries. Bunch of scripts, 4 scripts for that. One to add it to the screen, one to maintain the values of the optional fields, and one to actually pass the optional fields from the bank entry to the general ledger. The steps are documented in this PDF, and it tells you to add your optional fields to the BK0460 view, which is the bank entry detail view, and then you select the optional fields you want to do. So in our case, I'm going to add the sales rep optional field to bank entry BK0460. You always need to restart when you add a new screen script to make sure that the screen now opens with the script enabled. I'm going to create a new entry with the sales rep, select a bank, make this a little bit bigger so we can see the sales rep, select a GL account, an amount, and here I can select my sales rep. Add this entry, post it. If I now open the GL batch, I can see that my sales rep has come through from the bank entry into the GL. So these are some examples of applications that are available now that don't require any coding, although they rely on Extender's ability to run scripts and have custom tables, and therefore require Extender Developer. In the final part of this presentation, we will look at using Extender with other Orchid modules, and we're going to start with Orchid Notes. You can create a note when a field changes in Sage 300, and obviously that requires using Information Manager Note as well as Extender. So detailed steps are in here where you create a note type and assign it to a role. Then you add the detail that you need in IM options, and in Extender you create your event, like we looked at adding a log and an email event. You have another event type called create IM note, so create it in here, which includes a note template, very similar to the email template that we looked at in the sending email part of this presentation. And then you attach that event to the field that you want to use. In the example we're going to look at is AR credit, customer credit limit field. And one of the big benefits of doing this is that you can then attach those notes to other records in Sage 300 that relates to the customer. So your credit limit is changed on the AR customer screen, but when you're entering an OE order or processing an AR receipt or an AR invoice, you may want to know what is the history of the credit limit. And with those notes, you can then display it in other Sage 300 screens. So let's now look at this in Sage 300. I'm going to add a note type, customer credit limit. I want to have multiple notes for the same key because there can be a history of all those credit note changes. Then from here I can go to assigning permissions for those note types. So I'm going to create one called admin, where I can actually add, view, edit and delete this note type. Close this, and I'm now going to add my user to this role type. You can refer to the help in the documentation for notes to see how to configure some of these. Purpose of this presentation is not to show all the detail setup for notes. So what we would do here is add records to configure the tray. So on the customer screen, using customer number as the label, we're showing our note. We're showing all of them. And on the OE screen, I'm showing just the last note. That's a choice. You could show just the first or all of them. I'm going to save this and restart the Sage desktop. Next step is to configure Extender. So we mentioned before, you need to create a new event. The event, we're going to call it customer CL note. It's used when the credit limit changes. It's a type create IM note. I can select the note type, the one I've just created. It's happening on the customer screen. If I don't know the name, the key field on the customer screen, I can come here to external inquiries and look at view info. View info gives you details about all the views that are activated in the database that you're looking at. And here I'm looking at AR customer, and I can see that the customer number key field is ID cust. I can type that in here and choose my note template. If I haven't created it yet, I can add my notes template, use variables, and that's very similar to what I can use when I create an email template. I'm going to add this. I'm going to format it with 2 decimal places, and details about that is available in the help. Close this, add that event. Once I've got my event in Extender setup, I can attach that event to the Sage 300 view. I've already got a log event and an email attached to this. So as you can see, I can add to the same field my note. I can use the same event across multiple fields or attach different events to the same field. So to test what I've done, I'm going to come and change the credit limit of a customer. You can see I've got a little yellow note, meaning something is configured for that screen. And if I change bargain marks credit limit, all my events are going to kick in. It's going to create a log entry, it's going to email, and it's going to create a note. The best way to refresh the note would be to navigate to the next customer and come back to this one. You can see now my note is displayed. The change was done by admin, and I've got little squiggly things to imply that there is a note for this customer. And we had configured so that we could view this in order entry as well. As I select customer 1100, the note is displayed, showing me the current credit limit and the last time that this credit limit was changed. We're now going to look at using what we call extended note. We have demonstrated this in various scenarios. It's included in Orchid sample data. What we have done as part of this presentation is incorporate the 3 scripts into a module, configurable module. So if I download this from the Orchid website, we're going to have the 3 extended note, the 3 on-the-fly notes to display credit status, AR aging, and OE back orders against order entry screen. So I'm going to download it, unzip, and then import it into Sage 300. As with the other configurable modules we've looked at, we have a PDF and a module file. To install, we need to ensure Extender Developer and Information Manager nodes are activated in the database. We then import the module, restart the Sage desktop. We can open the OE screen and view the nodes. then we're going to look at adding that to the OE shipment screen. So this is how you can enhance and configure those modules a bit more. Let's look at this in Sage 300. I'm going to go to Extender Setup Modules. I think you get the idea by now. I'm going to import the module that I've downloaded. So this is made up of the 3 scripts. And if I look at the Information Manager tab of the module screen, I can see that it's been added to the OE 1100, the order entry screen. So let's restart the Sage desktop. Open the OE screen. I'm going to look at first order in there, which is for customer 1200. I can pin the note if I want to. And at the top, I have a list of back orders for this customer. I can actually drill down, double click on the order number, and it will open the OE screen with the detail of that order if I want to. I've also got here my AR aging with the different buckets as per Sage 300. Current, etc. See what's more than 90 days, and here the detail of all the transactions. Here I've got my overall credit status with my outstanding AR balance, pending orders, outstanding balance, and my credit limit. So again, this is available for you to use as is. If you want to add it to the OE shipment screen, you would go into Information Manager, IM Setup, and in the options. So we've got our different scripts. I could say that on the OE shipment screen, so that is OE 2200, and you can find that using the tray. Again, we have presented that in the various notes training sessions, how to find the roto ID of the screens that you want to look at. I'm going to put the customer number field label because I know it's the same as on the OE screen. And I'm going to select the script that I want to run. On this screen, I just want to show the incomplete order and the AR. I don't want to show any AR edging. I just want to show incomplete orders. I can select that. No parameters. I want to show the alert and I want to call it add, save. Again, I need to refresh the tray or restart the desktop. Open the shipment screen. If I select, as I enter, select a customer, the note with the incomplete orders will display. And while on the subject of notes, we're often asked if you can use Extender to make some fields in Sage 300 longer. For example, a long item description or longer comments. Yes, you can, but you have to create the table, maintain it, and you can use notes for this. So you can attach your notes to the item number or to the customer item number combination, since you can attach notes to up to 2 fields. And then the infrastructure is already there to maintain long notes. They're stored in the database and therefore you can add them to your Crystal report form. This was a little bit of a diversion on using Extender notes because this is one of the scenario where we say, yes, you can use Extender, but possibly depending on exactly what you're trying to do, using notes only is a better option. Next, we're going to look at using Extender with Document Management Link. And there's 2 very popular examples in that regard. One is to add a button to the OE screen, order confirmation or invoice, to print the documents to a PDF that is saved in a particular folder that matches the Document Management Link configuration. So in one click, you create the PDF that you can then display in Document Management Link. Same thing is possible for PO documents. And for this, I'm going to hand over to Anne.
The purchase order print and email module allows you to either print and PDF the purchase order for the vendor, or print and PDF the purchase order for the vendor and to email it to the vendor. If you are using Document Management Link, you can then configure the folder where the PDF is stored to be the same as that you're using in Document Management Link, so you are able to view it from the purchase order screen. So selecting a purchase order that I have not yet created a PDF for, if I click this button, it will print the PDF and save it in the folder. If I click this button, it will print the PDF and save it in the folder and email it to the vendor. So first it uses the configured report name and creates the PDF in the configured folder, which I am using for Document Management Link as well. And then it emails the PDF to the vendor using the configured email address on the vendor. And when I refresh the DML screen, I see the PDF. I can view it from here using Document Management Link. And when I go to the email, we can see the email that was sent using the template that we had configured in the module. And of course, we can view it from here too. To deploy this module on a site, first go to the Orchid Systems website, log in, and then on the resources, the Extender Scripts option, just filter by Configurable Modules, and you will see the PO PDF module. Download this module and then unzip that file. And you will find a Word document telling you how to configure the module and the module itself. Log into the appropriate company, and on the module screen, import the PO module. And this is the PO module that I imported. The module screen shows you all the scripts, events, messages, etc. associated with that module. So the PO order print and email module consists of a screen script, which adds the two buttons to the screen, an email message template, and a table for the configuration. From the module screen, you are able to access all these components. So if we double-click on the PO message, we see the message template, and that's the one that we saw in the email. And for the tables, if you double-click on the name, you will see the fields in the table. And clicking Open Table Editor, you are able to access the actual screen to enter the data. And the configuration that you need for the PO emailing is a folder for the PDFs to be saved in. And if you use the same folder as DML for the purchase order screen, you will then be able to see the document on the purchase order screen. You then need to configure the report name that you want to use. So this is the report group name that you'll find in the PO RPT ini file, and then that would be your crystal report name itself using that POR01 report group. This is where you configure the email message to be sent to the vendor. And here you can configure an admin email address in the event we can't find a valid email address on the vendor. And the final configuration you need to check is on the AP vendors themselves. You need to verify that they have been configured for the correct a print destination and that the email addresses are valid for that print destination. The OE Print and Email Configurable module adds two buttons to the order entry screen. One to print the order confirmation and save it away for document management link and email to the customer, and one to print the invoice PDF and save it away for document management link and email it to the customer. So on this order for this customer, I have no documents at all. So if we go ahead and email the order confirmation, it will PDF the order confirmation based on my configuration table and save it away for document management link and email it through to the customer. And we can refresh our order entry screen to force document management link to refresh its documents. And here's the order confirmation for order 114. We can view it from here, and that would have been emailed to the customer too. Order confirmation that we can view from here. And the configurable email body. And similarly, when we ship all and create invoice, once we have an invoice number, we can now PDF the invoice for document management link and email it to the customer. So first it's being saved and then emailed to the customer. Again, refreshing the screen. We see the PDF has been created and we can double click to view the invoice from here. The invoice is also shown here because I'm showing the individual document here and all my customer documents here. And we can view the associated email with the configurable email body and the invoice attached.
Partners can download the module from the Orchid website. There's a detailed configuration video demonstrating the steps, similar to what we have just looked at for purchase orders. The other thing you can do with Document Management Link, which supports Extender, is you can actually configure icons on the Sage 300 screens to view logging. To do this, we add a new row, probably easier to look at it in the Details tab. I'm going to add a new row that is called Extender Log. I'm going to do it based on the customer number. And I'm going to show the AR customer view. Again, I can use the Finder to select the view. Save this. Now, on every screen that has this customer number label, because that's how I've chosen to configure it, I can click this little button to view the log history. Now this is valid for any user that is flagged as a document management link user in the tray. If I look here on the options, you see I'm a DML user, so I have access to these icons on the screen. Just a little plus of using Extender and being a document management link user. Finally, we're going to look at using Extender with EFT processing. First module we have that is available to users who have both EFT and Extender is the ability to drill two EFT screens from AP and AR screens. We also have some scripts available to validate that EFT vendors and AP vendors don't have a comma in the address, because in some file formats having a comma is deemed invalid. So yes, we can strip them out of the EFT format, but sometimes easier to make sure that the data is entered correctly in the first place. We also have an app available for purchase on the marketplace for PGP encryption. So some banks require the file, the EFT file itself, to be encrypted using PGP encryption before it gets uploaded to the bank. And we can use this, we can use Extender and the EFT SuperView to actually encrypt the file and upload it to the bank. So back on the Extender module screen, you may have seen this message here saying EFT Processing has a module EFT that could be imported. This module is available to any user who has both EFT Processing and Extender Developer. And you can come here and click Import. It's going to import this module. And this module is made up of a few scripts that apply to AP vendor, AP invoice, AP payments, AR customer, etc. You would again restart the Sage desktop and then you can see it in action. I can now select an AP payment batch. If I go to the EFT, click the EFT button, it opens the Create EFT file for that batch. If your user profile has security rights to do so. Similarly, if I go to AP vendors, I can select a vendor and I've got access to the EFT button, which will open the EFT screen for that vendor. So this makes the navigation easier. We find that Extender works very well with other Orchid modules, in particular Notes. Extender supports the use of document management link by automatically creating some documents that you can view in DML and using icons on the screens. And with EFT, it gives you some ability to add functionality to EFT processing, from simple navigation to validation to automating processes such as PGP encryption, which make a very good use of the ability of Extender to use Python libraries. So in summary, today we've had an overview of Extender, looked at using Extender Configurator for logging and email alerts, looked at how to install some Extender apps for advanced logging, auto-numbering, inline editing of optional fields, adding optional fields to Sage 300 records that don't support optional fields, and using Orchid Extender with other Orchid modules. We've covered a range of the features of Extender for logging, alerting, and validation. We've touched on screen customizations, where you can add buttons, add fields to screens, add tabs. We can extend grids by adding fields to the grid. And we can use Extender with Notes to display information that is not stored in the database, that is just calculated or run on the fly from the database, and that can be from Sage 300 database, or you could run a script that goes and reads some exchange rate detail from a website to display it as you're entering the transaction. So thanks for your time, and we are now available for questions.